Hi guys, it's Andy Lehman again from Freedom Skills Academy. So just a quick podcast today, a little audio about money. Today I want to talk about money being a tool. Okay, that's all money is. In a previous podcast I talked about money being a thank you, which again is, and it's a very powerful way of looking at money. It's very, very useful if you look at money as a tool, because then you can figure out what you can do to be thanked more often by more people on a regular basis. Okay, now today's little audio podcast, I want to talk about money being a tool because it is a tool that replaced the exchange system, which we had many years ago. Now, the exchange system was fantastic because it allowed people who had certain skills to exchange it for certain foods, or certain, like a farmer who was growing wheat could exchange his wheat to the baker. The baker would then give the farmer bread. The butcher would also exchange his services to the cow farmer, and so he would basically get paid in meat. And these services and these exchange was happening quite a lot back in the old days. Like a carpenter would probably make a gate for the butcher, who would then give him meat. The carpenter would make a milking chair for the dairy farmer, and the dairy farmer would give him milk. And this went on. But this was great until society started to grow and expand, because up to that point it was mostly survival. So you'd exchange your services, your time, your labour, your skills, your products with other people, just basically to survive. Now, as society has grown and changed with inventions and sort of developments in modern technology and stuff like that, we now get to a point where we can't exchange certain things for things, because it's just not doable. If you work in a factory that makes boilers and plumbing parts, once you've got your boiler fitted and you've fitted out your house with central heating, then what are you going to do? Are you going to keep going to work? You can't keep going to work and getting plumber parts that you don't need. A lactose intolerant person is not necessarily going to want to work for the dairy farmer. A vegan is not going to want to work for a butcher or a dairy farmer. Someone who's gluten intolerant is not going to want to exchange their time or services for someone who bakes bread if they can't eat it. A bald writer, marketer like myself is not wanting to do some work in exchange for a haircut. So these things were great back in the old days, but they will not work today. So obviously they had to invent something that could be used as a universal tool in exchange for goods and services, which was money. Now, the important thing to remember here is that money gives you the freedom to basically trade with anyone and everyone, and it gives you the ability to be able to buy parts and services and products that normally you could not get if you were trying to exchange your time or your skills or services. Just recently I was speaking to a guy in Denmark who says his parents still live in a fairly rural farming area, and that they still exchange bits with each other. And it's great if you can do that, because it means that you can hide some money from the taxman, because there's no money being exchanged for goods and services. There's nothing as a record. So they were talking about how a dairy farmer, a pig farmer would probably go to the butchers and want the butcher to do some butchering work for them. So if they wanted 8 pigs butchering, they would give them 10. That'd be 2 for them to then sell on or pass on for other services to other people. And so it was all done free. Not particularly liking talking about that as a vegetarian, but that's basically what he was saying was going on. They were still using sort of exchange in that area because it avoided having to pay tax. It was all untraceable, which is good in some ways, but not in modern society. Basically, you need to get paid a universal paper, a universal form of money that can then be used elsewhere and everywhere. Now, like I say, money is a tool. I'm not going to get into too much about inflation and about how the dollar has lost 90% of its value since it was created, because the more you print, the more value it loses. But as I said, money is a thank you, but it's also a tool. And because it's a tool, it's not meant to be stuck in banks and left, particularly. Now, I know that's kind of a hard thing to say when probably a hard thing to hear if you're struggling for money, because obviously when you're struggling for money and think times are tight, you need to hold on to as much money as you can or use it wisely. But the fact is, money is a tool that allows you to buy products, buy services and investments, which then will bring you back more money. It is called leveraging. Leveraging the money that you have is often the fastest way to become wealthier than actually trying to hold on to it. Poor people hold on to money, wealthy people spend money. But they spend it on calculated products, services and things that they believe will give them back more money than what they invest. It's they leverage other people's time and they leverage their money. They use their money as a tool. It's also because of the money being a universal tool, it means that they can do several things at the same time. Whereas if you were going to do it yourself, if you wanted to write a book, you'd sit and write it. If you wanted to create the cover, you'd have to then create the cover after you've written the book. If you wanted to publish the book, then once the book is published and the cover is done, you'd have to then go and publish it on Amazon. If you wanted to do the marketing afterwards, then you'd do it all. It could be quite a long sort of journey to get to that point. Now, it's brilliant if you can do that and you are quick at doing it. But for most people, it's a case of, if you wanted to write the book, you'd pay someone to do the cover for you while you're writing it. So once your book is finished, your cover could actually be finished as well. You could also pay somebody to actually start building up a marketing campaign, which basically means that as soon as your book is ready, there is a hungry crowd ready for it. You could also pay somebody to publish the book for you, or even a publisher could pay you to be a writer on their books. I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but the fact is, with money being a tool, you use it to make things happen quicker, and you use it to pay for people to do services or investments or do something which will eventually get money back to you. So, for example, you could have £200 sat burning a hole in your pocket, or you could use that £200 to pay somebody to write a book, for example, which then you could sell for the rest of your life. That £200 then could, let's say, generated £30,000 over the next 10 years. That's £200 into £30,000. You wouldn't have had it if you'd left it in your pocket and you held on to it. Money is a tool which is to be used, and I think that's one of the things I'm trying to get across to people, is that really you should be using your money to make money. You should be leveraging what you've got. It's very easy to use the money that you have on shoes, food, entertainment. This is what most people see money for, but money has lost its I think a lot of people have forgotten that money is a tool and realise how powerful it can be when you use it on specific things. That's the thing. When people go to work, they earn money, they get a pay rise, they want a pay rise, that means they can buy a new car, or they can buy more of this or more of that. But that's the point. When it comes to money, it is actually a tool that could generate more money. And that, I think, is what most people forget. They put it away, they squirrel it away into the bank accounts, they hold on to it in case there's a problem with a rainy day, they need it, which is all good, don't get me wrong. You do need to build yourself a FO fund, a FUF fund as we call it, a rainy day fund, and it is important to have that, but it's also important to use what spare money you have to build your wealth, basically. If you think about Warren Buffett and Roman Abramovich, both of those people who are now billionaires. I mean, Roman Abramovich owns Chelsea, and he started working in an oil factory in Siberia, I believe, an oil mill in Siberia, and then eventually ended up being the owner of it because he kept buying shares and more shares, and eventually he got to the point where he's now a billionaire. And that was because he used his money as a tool. He didn't stick it in the bank account and leave it there to get a little bit of interest. He didn't put it away and just hold on to it for a rainy day. He didn't go down to the pub and use his rubles to buy vodka and have wine, women and song. He used his money to make more money, and that is what money is all about. It is a tool. So going on our previous podcast where money is a thank you, where you do something and people thank you for their money. Once you get that money, then you want to start using it to thank other people for products or services which can actually multiply and amplify the money that you have. So a bit of a quick podcast, this one, bit of a weird one. I don't know if you enjoyed it or not, or it is obvious. We all know that money is a tool, but I do believe that people have forgotten that money is a tool. We know it, but do we know it? Do we actually truly understand it? We know that we can buy cakes and drinks with it. We know we can buy things with it, but people don't usually associate it with making money. They don't realise that money is probably the number one tool for generating wealth and money. So if I've actually helped you see money in a different way, slightly from before, then that's brilliant. That's the whole purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of the book, The Life Bible, which you can get yourself a free physical copy at the website, freedomskillsacademy.com/The Life Bible. It's a physical copy, 200 odd pages. That is yours. If you want to go get yourself a free copy, you only have to pay postage and packaging. And that's what this book is all about. It's about trying to help you and free you from certain shackles that you might have had in the past, certain thinking that you've got, behaviours that you've sort of been programmed with and that you use on a regular basis. This here is to try and help you to become a better you and live the life that you want. And part of that is, as I say, is understanding that money is a thank you, money is a tool, and also that money isn't fair. Okay? Never expect money to be fair. Lots of people like to spend other people's money, and they always seem to think that money which hasn't been equally divided properly throughout mankind, they seem to think it should be. Well, it never will be, because the fairness comes from human behaviour, not the money, because money is nothing. It's just a tool. It is a concept that we use to help ourselves and others and individuals, and it can never be fair. So that'll probably be the next podcast, and I hope to see you on that soon. If not, don't forget you can get yourself a free copy of my book, The Life Bible, which is over at the Freedom Skills Academy website. And my name's Andy Lehman. I'll speak to you again soon. So thank you very much for listening. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.